Hey everybody, it's Mike. I'm here to review a movie called The Mutilator. It was originally known as Fall Break, and it has a very happy little bouncy song called Fall Break in it. It's kind of amusing for a horror movie, but it was the early 80s, so what do you expect? Depending on what site you look at, Wikipedia or whatever, it was either released in 84 or 85. It is a cast of unknowns. Most of the people, this was their only movie, our only listing on any of the sites. And the couple that did have a few more roles, really, by the end of the 80s, were never heard from again as far as any of the sites are concerned. So, what we have is your typical 80s cheesy horror movie. A little bit. It was suspenseful. It was a good watch. It centers around, or the plot, I should say, is basically that we have Ed Sr. and his wife, who is credited as only mother, and we have Little Ed, or Ed Jr. So it's Big Ed's birthday, and mother is making him a beautiful birthday cake. And Ed Jr. decides, he's little, he doesn't have any money to, he doesn't have any money to get his dad anything for his birthday, so he's going to do right by his dad, and he's going to clean his dad's guns. His dad has a whole collection of guns, so he goes into his dad's office or den or whatever, closes the door, and he starts cleaning his dad's guns, and what ends up happening is a tragic accident that basically puts him and his dad at odds forever. So what happens is basically Ed Sr. kind of smacks the little boy around a little bit, and then we fast forward to the future, and we see Big Ed, and he's having these reoccurring fantasies because he's kind of lost his mind at that point, of choking his youngest son or killing his young son in various ways. Ed Jr. at this point in the movie is in college, and it is fall break. And his father calls Ed Jr. and says, "I need you to close down my summer condo for me. I can't do it. I physically can't do it. I need you to do it for me." And his son's like, "I don't think so, Dad. I don't have any real anything to do with you. So why are you asking me?" And his father just says, "You're going to do it," and hangs up. And Ed Jr.'s like, "I'm not going to do that." But he has his friends there, Linda and Mike, who is a couple, and then Ralph and Sue, who is a couple. And then his girlfriend, Pam. And Pam's like, they're all like, "Come on, it's the beach. We can do something. It's fall break. We can go hang out at the water for a while. It'll be great." So Ed Jr. says, "Okay, let's do it." So they get there. They check out the condo. They're kind of surprised by all the crazy weapons that are hanging on the wall, different types of hooks and battle axes and all this stuff. So they kind of get settled in and decide, what they're going to do, and they go get some provisions, and they come back, and they're having a little party and drinking and having a good time and being silly, and then they decide, actually, Linda and Mike decide that they want a little alone time, so they hit the beach. They go check stuff out, and the rest of the kids stay back behind. So Mike and Linda find this huge pool. I don't know where you would find a big pool like this on a beach, but I mean, it's huge. And they decide that they're going to do a little skinny dipping, be a little romantic. So they get into the pool, and they're swimming and playing and having some fun. And then Mike ends up at one side of the pool, and Sue ends up on the other end of the pool. And Mike is, going underwater and carrying on. And then he realizes that he can't find Linda. So he goes to get out of the pool, and all of their clothes are gone. And he's like, "Linda," he's thinking it's Linda that has gone off with their clothes, but he sees a pair of pants or something hanging over on the other side of the pool. So he heads over there and he grabs his pants, and then he sees something else, and so it's like a trail back to the condo. Well, underneath the condo is like a workshop area. It's just like, it looks like a big garage door, but there's no door on it. But there is several rooms in the little work shed area, or the little work area. And he goes in and he's looking for Linda and he's calling her name. And he hears a noise and he goes to open the door and boom, there's the killer. And without spoiling it, I'm not going to tell you what happens, but Mike meets his maker there. It is the longest death scene I have ever seen. And I don't mean that the killer took a long time to kill him. I'm just saying that the actor who played Mike hammed it up big time. I mean, big time. It went on for. You remember the scene where Carrie's mom is all up on the door frame, with all the knives, and she just goes on and on. That's what Mike does in this particular movie. So once Mike finally kicks it, you have the killer who has a very unique way of storing the dead bodies, which is almost more graphic than some of the kills in this movie. But you'll have to watch it to see what I mean. So we go back up to the kids, and they're like, come on, we got to go find Linda and Mike. They've been gone for so long. What is the deal? What are they doing? And, the guys are like, I already know what they're doing. So typical. And of course you have the boobs. You have to have boobs in anything in the 80s. So we got to see Linda's boobs. So if you like that. So they go out on the beach and they're carrying on and yelling for the two. And all of a sudden there's a cop. The cop's like, what are you guys doing out here? There is nobody on this island. Why are you here? Everybody is gone. And Ed Jr. was like, well, my dad asked me to close up his condo. He couldn't do it. So he asked me. So I just brought my friends down from college, and we're just going to spend a couple days here and lock everything up and then go back. Cop's like, well, okay, I'll keep an eye out for you, but you need to get off this beach. It's too dark. You might get hurt or whatever. Just get off the beach. It's not safe. So the kids are like, oh, okay, but we're looking for our friends Mike and Linda. And the cop said, I'll help you look, but go. So they're like, okay, we'll go. But the cop actually ends up at the condo before the kids. And he's kind of looking around, looking for Mike and Linda, thinking that they might be there. And he walks into the workroom area, doesn't see anything, and he walks around the condo a little bit. And then he hears something off to the side, so he walks over to this pier kind of area, and nothing, and he turns around, and there's the killer, and there goes the cop. So we go forward, and the kids finally get back to the condo, and they play a few more games and have a little bit more drink, and then they just decide after the one game, they're like, oh, this is boring. Isn't there something else? So the one guy says, I know this game where one of us has to hide in the house, turn all the lights off and hide, and then the other three have to wait outside. And when the other three come in, they can't turn on any lights, but they have to try to find that person. And as they find that person, then they have to stay in the same room. So first, the girl who stays behind is Sue. So the first person to find her is Pam. So Pam stays with them, and it's supposed to be a dark kitchen, but it's not. It's not even close to dark. So then Ralph comes in, and he's feeling around, and he bumps into Sue and grabs her boob, and they laugh, and then they all have to stay in there together. Well, at this point, Ed Jr. is upstairs looking, but the killer comes in, and he's walking around the kitchen, and he can't see these kids either, allegedly. Two of them are underneath the table, so, but the one girl's just standing right there on the wall. And he hears Ed Jr. coming, so he makes a run for it, and Ed Jr. finds them and then turns on the lights. So then they decide, okay, let's just go to bed. So they're up in their rooms, and Pam and Ed are flirting around with each other, but Pam's not putting out, so that's not happening. So Ed just goes to sleep. In the other room, Sue wants to put out, but she is worried about her friends Linda, her best friend Linda and Mike, and she tells Ralph, well, you need to go lock up for one, but before you do that, try to find Mike and Linda, because if we lock up, they won't be able to get in. And Ralph's like, I ain't doing that. She said, well, if you don't, you ain't getting none of this. So, of course, Ralph immediately flies down the steps to look for these people. So he goes outside, and he's looking around, he's yelling for him. He ends up in the workshop. He's looking around, there's, nothing really to see. It's, so he opens one door, there's nothing there. He opens the other door, killer. By Ralph. So in the meantime, Sue, and he does a lot of screaming. So Pam hears this noise, hears all this noise, and she's like, what is that? And she's trying to wake Ed up, and Ed won't wake up. So she just curls up real close to him. So then Sue gets worried. She gets out of bed. She goes down the stairs to look for Ralph. She goes outside. She's, yelling and screaming, and Sue hears that, or Pam hears that, and she tries to wake Ed up, and Ed won't wake up. So she gets out of bed, and she checks the other two bedrooms, and nobody's there, and then she hears a noise, and she freaks out, so she finally wakes up Ed. So she and Ed go out, and Sue comes in, and she said, I can't find Ralph, I can't find Linda and Mike, what is going on? And Pam is like, I got a really bad feeling about this. We have got to get to the sheriff's. We've got to get out of here. And so, they all head out. And Sue's like, can we just take one more look around and see if we can find him, please? I can't leave Ralph behind. So they look around. Pam and Ed go one way. Sue goes another way. Sue ends up back at the workshop. She goes in there. She doesn't hear anything, doesn't see anything, and then she turns around to leave, and the killer's there. So then Ed and Pam make it back around, and they're yelling for everybody. Now, where's Sue? So they go into the workshop, and they see Pam and freak out. And then they try to, they try to get out, and they open the one, they start to go out, and there's the killer. So they try to run into one room, and they open the door, and there's the storage area with Ralph and all the others. So they flip out, they're trying to hide, trying to find something to fight against this guy. Ed locks Pam into this little closet area and starts fighting the killer. But the killer is pretty strong and knocks him down to the ground, and he starts to kill him, and Pam breaks out of a little closet, confronts him, and there's big fights, and pretty soon the killer's on the ground, and they think he's dead, so they run out to their car, and they try to get it started, but it's an old piece of junk car, and it won't start, and so they're sitting in there crying and hugging and kissing on each other, and then they finally get the car to start, and the killer is right behind them, jumping up on the car with his battle axe, trying to, take care of business. And they finally get the car to move. They put it in reverse. The killer rolls off, and she stops the car. They stop the car, and the killer comes up back behind them, and Pam just guns it, and right straight back into a wall. So they pin the killer to the wall, and at that same point, a cop's car pulls up. Two cops get out, and they come to see what the heck's going on. And they say, pull forward. And it basically ends there. There's a little twist, kind of, and it's an interesting, fun little twist, but good gory movie. Once it gets started, it does start a little slow. They do some character development of the main characters, but fun movie. You should check it out. All right, guys, thanks. I hope you like it. If you did, click that like button, subscribe, tell your friends to subscribe, and I appreciate everything you do. Thanks. Bye.